Could this be actual footage of a werewolf?
Hey, what's up, Jay here. The last couple of years, I've gotten probably 250 death threats in person all across the United States, literally from East Coast to West Coast. I've had random people come up to me and tell me I'm a dead man, that I'm going to be raped by Satan and murdered and nailed upside down to a cross. Um, because, I don't know, this death cult seems to think I'm like a saint or like John the Baptist reincarnated or something. I don't know. I don't know. It's very confusing. It's very strange. I didn't even believe in God until this stuff started happening. For about 2.5 years after it began, I was just telling myself I was schizophrenic and I needed to be on medication. I went to several psychiatrists. I even checked into a mental hospital for 30 days. Literally every one of them told me I have no symptoms of schizophrenia. I have nothing wrong with me. I don't need to be on medication. They said that the only mental issue I had was depression, which I really wasn't depressed until this stuff started happening. I was pretty happy with life. I've lived a simple, quiet life like the last 10 years, to try to make up for, all the sins I committed in my 20s. I was a bad person in my 20s. Anyways, I wanted to make a video about gang stalking. A few years back, before I seen that giant in Erie, PA, this girl I knew kept telling me she was being gang stalked, and I didn't believe her. I just told her, I was like, I knew she used drugs, and I was like, you need to get off the drugs. It's messing with your head. You're going crazy. And then she disappeared. Okay. And I have no idea what happened to her. I didn't know her all that well. Her name was Kim, I think. I met her, and then all that happened, and then she vanished, and I haven't heard from her in years now. I think she was kidnapped and murdered by this death cult. Okay. And I didn't think this gang stalking phenomenon was real. Okay. I thought the people that were claiming to be being gang stalked were just mentally ill. At this point, what I think is the people that are being gang stalked, those are the elect. Those are the ones who, the 144,000 whose names were written in the book of life since the beginning of time. The only good people left. The real faith, the real Christians, not the false Christians that worship Satan. Remember, the devil can appear as an angel of light. So a lot of people, in these religious cults that were, or I shouldn't say religious cults, I should say churches, former churches that are now religious cults, that were hungry for something to believe in, and they're told their whole life that, Jesus is the light and the love and the glory, blah, blah, blah. And then, they have one of these fallen angels appear, and they see this ball of light and they're like, oh, hallelujah, that must be God. Because they don't know scripture very well. They don't read their Bibles. They just listen to what their pastor says. And then in addition to that, even the ones that religiously read the Bible, they don't understand the fact that the Bible has been edited for thousands of years, by the satanic shadow church of Babylon. They've literally corrupted the Bible to a point where you can't even call it the Word of God. Major points have been changed, and I've spent years looking at various translations of the Bible and noticing how different each translation can be. So I try to stay with the Greek translation, the Septuagint, which is as close to the original Aramaic texts as I can find and understand, and I know even that one has been edited. Now, anybody that's watching my channel that's, experiencing gang stalking, please leave a comment. I would like to talk to you and see if you've had any weird experiences, or if you've just had any weird paranormal experiences. Please let me know in the comments. I'm really trying to find, friends right now, because people keep telling me I'm all alone. And half the time I think that I'm in hell, that I died and went to hell, and I'm in the Matrix, and this is all just this huge head game Satan's playing on me. I really hope that's not the case. But, I I don't know what's going on. I know I'm not crazy, but I've had a lot of crazy stuff happen to me. I mean, I've seen hundreds of kids being herded into trucks out in New Mexico. And there was police helping. There were cops were guiding traffic, and I seen truck after truck after truck pulling out of this place that was like an animal processing facility, but there was literally all these drugged children there, and I was staring in disbelief, like, this can't be real. This can't be real, but it is, and this fat Mexican guy walks up to me while I'm seeing this, and he goes, "You think this is bad? You should see what's happening in Santa Fe." Santa Fe. Santa. Rearrange that word. Santa. Satan. Fae. Fae is another name for a Nephilim, a fairy folk. Tuatha De Danann. The descendants of Cain through Lucifer, the descendants of Lucifer through Cain, the shining ones, who are taught a doctrine that they're basically quote unquote born dead, that they have no hope for redemption, but they do. They have one final hope at redemption, and if they choose to ignore that, that's on them. Like, there is only one God. There's one creator of all things good and all things evil, and that is God the Most High, or Most Low. I'm not really sure which direction dimensionally God originated from, but I do know that there's one being out there that made everything. There's only one self-created, eternal being that exists, and everything was made by that being. Now, let's go on to this gang stalking stuff. I've been experiencing, literally, and I have some videos I uploaded last week shows this happening to me, but I have people follow me around whenever I leave my bedroom. When I can't leave, I can't even go to the store without, creepy, weird things happening. Like, I went to the corner store the other day, and I bought a pop and some food, and it came out 666. And the girl at the register, she was like, like, giving me this weird look, and this is getting overwhelming at this point. I'm not really capable of handling this kind of stuff. I didn't believe in God most of my life. I believed in science, logic, and reason. Those are my gods, and now I'm at the point where I can only assume that there is a spiritual war, and it's reaching the end of it right now, and that the final judgment of God is right around the corner. So if you're being gang stalked, let me know in the comments. Let's watch this video. I haven't watched this yet. It's from Vice Television, and it's about gang stalking.
This has many names: gang stalking, mob stalking, community stalking. You're in the middle of this ridiculous, irrational impossibility that is real and is happening.
First, The Guardian revealed the National Security Agency is collecting telephone records of millions of Verizon customers.
You can surveil someone through their phones, through their, certainly through their television sets.
The last year and a half, he's been systematically followed by a group.
Okay, television set. Set is the name of the brother of Osiris, the evil brother of Osiris, who chopped him up into 14 pieces. Computer monitor. Why do you think they call it a monitor? Because you're being monitored through it. Literally all of our electronics have been backdoored since they gained access to the technology. They've been using it. Technology is hundreds of years ahead of where we think it is. They literally have like microscopic cameras, built into everything, and it's probably been this way for 30, 40 years, and in West Berlin, when the Russians were still in charge of West Berlin was basically like this big experiment in mind control that Babylon was doing. But people would find cameras built into behind their TV screens. They were watching them from their television sets. Like remote control television, tell-a-vision. You know, like they're telling you what to believe, what to think. Hitler even said that, you know, the television will become the most important way to manipulate people in human history, and it has until the internet came around. Now the internet is like literally just it's being the World Wide Web, you know, spider's web. In the end of days, it talks about a demon named Leviathan wrapping itself around the world. It's talking about the frickin' internet, okay?
Of people.
Does the FBI use drones for surveillance on U.S. soil? Yes.
New Associated Press investigation shows that the Bureau has its own little Air Force with scores of planes flying over American cities, recording video and tracking cell phone conversations.
He has a man outside of his house in a hood, like basically like a hood that looks...
Well, this almost sounds like gang stalking or something. Have you heard of that?
Many of the things that victims of gang stalking describe are also symptoms of mental disorders.
We're not having a group hallucination. This is actually something that's happening.
That's what people kept trying to tell me, like the police and stuff around here. They set me up on a fake trespassing case, kept me in jail for a year, even though it carries a maximum penalty of 30 days. They kept me in jail for a year. I lost everything I owned while I was locked up. Somebody hacked my bank account, my PayPal account, my crypto accounts. Literally everything I had was stolen from me. And, you know, in jail, they kept making me see these counselors that kept telling me that I'm severely mentally ill. And it was weird. They kept asking me stuff like, do you see human-shaped shadows? And I was like, yeah. And they're like, oh, okay. Well, what about balls of light? And I'm like, yeah. And they're like, yeah, you're just schizophrenic. That's all it is. And it's like, no, that's not what it is. It's just like some people are born with the ability to see this stuff. You know, they're literally angels and demons, you know. That's what it is. It's angels and demons, you know, hell and the fallen. And, you know, literally the last 100 years, the educational system worldwide has been used to convince you of a bunch of lies, you know, to trick you into forfeiting your soul, your ticket to paradise, because the devil doesn't want you going to heaven. The devil wants you to be damned alongside him. I'm thinking that number's closer to 144,000 people. I think what they're doing is they're harassing the elect, the people whose names was written in the Book of Life.
I grew up with my parents. My mother was a medical doctor. My father was a former rocket scientist turned teacher. I grew up with a desire to be a graphic artist. And then I didn't like school very much, so I joined the Navy. And I did that for a couple of years. Didn't like that too much, so I came back to LA and basically lived in Los Angeles as a homeless man, just living on the street. I had my truck with a shell, and I worked as a handyman or construction jobs that I would get. The gang stalking experience started for me when I noticed these black SUVs and other police vehicles driving slowly along the street, but they never came up to me or said anything. And then I had 7 or 8 helicopters hovering directly over my apartment, and then it goes by, and it keeps happening, and it begins to dawn on me that something is going on, and this continued on.
One night, it was Valentine's Day, like 4 years ago, like 3 weeks before I seen that giant. I literally had a helicopter flying less than 200 feet above me. It followed me as I walked around town for hours. I had it on camera, and then the girl I was dating at the time, she stole my phone that had all this video of this gang stalking stuff on it that I'd filmed secretly. Like, this stuff is real. It's really happening. And it's Satan.
Here comes the gang stalking helicopter. Here it comes. It's confusing to humans trying to understand gang stalking. Why would they do this to me? Why would they do these weird, petty little things that, you know, may even just irritate me at some moment? If you were to ask me what gang stalking is,
it's to drive you insane. That's what it is. They're literally trying to drive you crazy. by doing this stuff. I talked to a girl that was a member of my channel, and she said for like the last 4 years she can't. She's afraid to even leave her house at this point. She's on disability, so she's lucky enough that she has an income, which I don't. I have literally no income. My channel is the only thing that gets me any money, and that's like $400 or $500 a month, and that's just donations. I should be making $2,000-3,000 a month off my channel, but YouTube won't monetize me for some reason. Go figure.
It's a way to slowly kill people using their own decisions. See, we're getting one of our friends here. I don't know if you can hear that on the audio, but we're getting a buzz right now. And on certain topics that I'll bring up, I'll get buzzed.
My understanding of gang stalking is that a number of people have found each other on the internet who believe that they are being targeted for harm. So there's this concept of hypervigilance, right? Which is that your threat assessment centers get locked into a position that is too high.
And they use these psychologists to lie to you, okay? The science of psychology has been around for thousands of years, okay? It's been around for thousands of years. They know how to use your own mind against you, okay? And they're weaponizing that at this point because it's the end of days.
They're warning you all the time about things not necessarily untrue, but that you would feel better not worrying about. Being of the opinion that you had to constantly look around and figure out what might be threatening to you, or else your life would be at stake, would lead to you not just seeing connections that weren't there, but erring on the side of safety when you see a connection that might or might not be there.
Like watching this right now, I'm terrified. Because it's real.
I'm a self-taught makeup artist, and depending on the list that you look at, probably one of the top 10 makeup artists in the world. I think that just my life experience, me being around famous people all the time, what paparazzi photographers do to them, what normal people do to them if they go out in public, there'll be a gang-like reaction. This is essentially the same thing, except it's not, I didn't ask for it. In my experience, it started over a year ago. I had rented a space in Hawthorne, California, and people warned me that as a gay man, you know, it was maybe brave.
And I want to point out, you know, homosexuality, it's not, if you love somebody, you know, that's just how it is. God's against homosexuality because it spreads the mark of the beast. It's a virus. It's a hive mind disease. The mark of Cain, the curse of Cain. You know, it's vampirism is what it is. No one believes me, but that's what it is.
Of me to rent this space. I never think about things like that. I didn't know what it was called. Like I said, I just thought that it was bullying. I just thought that it was, you know, people that were just like, get the faggot out of the neighborhood or whatever. When 20 or 30 cars are hazing you on the freeway.
That's literally how it is.
Behind you, in front of you, on both sides of you, completely controlling how fast you go, whether you exit, whatever you do. This is something bigger than that. I started spray painting their cars on the freeway. I pepper sprayed them. At this time, it was trying to get them to call the police. That's what I was trying to do. I had no other way, I felt like, other than to find out, are these people together? Are they working in this one collective group for the same reason?
What they'll do to a particular person in order to stress them out is they'll hit them with the same thing over and over and over again. I would get Los Angeles Police Department vehicles lighting up their sirens and not pulling me over, but zooming around me, almost like a continual tactic. This happened so much that I was inspired to buy a dash camera.
I believe it was the very next day, and it was the first time I experienced what I know now is called street theater. And I watched the parking lot literally fill up with...
It's like a bunch of actors. It's like, because they're part of this hive mind. Shakespeare said the whole world's a the whole world's a stage. We are merely its players. What he was referencing is this demonic hive mind, the demon known as Legion, possessing all these hundreds of millions and probably now billions of people, and literally controlling them through voices in their head. Telepathically telling them, go do this, and they think it's them having those thoughts, and they listen to these voices. But that's not your brain telling you. That's some demon planting seeds in your mind to try to tell you what to do, to control and manipulate you, because that demon knows it's going to be damned for all eternity, and it wants you to be damned for all eternity.
Cars. And, heterosexual couples would hold hands and stroll through the back of the parking lot like they were on some 1950s sitcom. People that are trying to look incredibly normal look incredibly abnormal because they're acting. It's not authentic. That was when I first started thinking, it's all of them against me. This is clearly a collective, organized whatever is happening.
The Legion, the Demon Legion.
If a conspiracy is a bunch of people working together to do something that they don't want publicized, then it would be absolutely wrong to say that the world is not filled with conspiracies. The question is, what does it do for you to spend a lot of time thinking and feeling about the conspiracies that you believe exist?
It's disgusting how they use these academics, these demon-possessed academics, to fill your head with lies, to try to make you feel like, it's not them, it's you. But it's not you, it's them. This is real. This is a real phenomenon.
Government has to know about it. How can this can't be like some rogue group operating, some shadowed thing and nobody knows about it.
I go to the Van Nuys Police Department, I walk in, I say, this is my ID, this is my name. Are you following me, or do you have any knowledge of me being followed? Is there a reason for you to be followed, sir? No, there's not, but people are. Who's following you? Well, I don't know who it is. Well, what are they driving? They're driving cars with dealer tags that you can't trace. Well, sir, there are a lot of dealers here. There are a lot of dealer tags. How do you know that they're following you? Very quickly, you see how crazy you sound. I've never been arrested. I've never had a DUI. Anything whatsoever. Whoever is in charge, which is so weird, is spinning this web.
It's the Demon Legion, also known as Leviathan. One of the three chaos beasts of the Book of Revelation.
About what a deviant, immoral, less than a human being you are. That's the only thing that I can think of that would get that many people in this collective effort to get rid of you.
This happens to you enough, believe me, you will feel stress. You will get that feeling of helplessness. This is not just like a gang of random people just doing this for, like randomly or without a plan. This is procedural.
The psychiatric definitions of delusion tend to focus on really two principles. One is that the ideas that you have are not very vulnerable to evidence. The other is that people in your culture don't share your beliefs. The question becomes, if you can find 10,000 people on the internet who believe the same thing as you, is it a delusion? Is it bizarre? Quite possibly not. If everybody believes this stuff, how is it in any way insane?
People just would not believe the suffering that people in this community endure every single day.
I've lost just about all of my friends. They're afraid to talk to me. They think it's very effective. They think I'm crazy.
My family doesn't know anything about it. I don't say a word to them. I don't know if my son knows, and I don't want anything to happen to him.
Really, the most important thing that we can do for victims is to connect them with others who understand what they're experiencing, because no one else will. And isolation is really a key weapon that these perpetrators use to bring a person down to the ground, basically.
They have ruined me financially. They have destroyed my life. Literally destroyed my entire life. 12 years ago, I had a successful internet marketing business, was making between $2,000 and $5,000 a week. Now I literally have nothing. I have a laptop. That's the only thing of value I have. Because they took everything from me. They even drove the love of my life to suicide and then tried to blame that on me.
Go to see a psychiatrist. Let's say it's the first time you're meeting a psychiatrist, and you say, I'm under police surveillance. Then the psychiatrist will write you off as suffering paranoid schizophrenia, and then he will give you medication. So we must assume that this is what American society believes, that all these government agencies, which normally watch over people, don't actually watch people at all. If anybody thinks that they are being watched by this government agency, then they must be crazy. It cannot possibly be true.
There really is no help at the moment officially to assist targeted individuals. They can't go to the police, they can't go to the FBI, they can't go to Congress. There is nowhere that they can go. We are having to create the issue and also the solution.
Why isn't our nation listening? This could be them. I wouldn't be surprised if most of the nation is under mass mind control.
Yep. That's exactly
Given that the world is filled with groups of people operating in secret or trying to divorce us from our money or our power or whatever they want from us, one thing that might be helpful to ask from a psychiatric point of view is, what's wrong with the rest of us? So why am I so relaxed? What's wrong with me that I don't feel I'm being gang stalked? And is it that I'm living in the matrix where in order to feel more comfortable, I have decided to simply ignore a lot of the evils in the world?
The matrix is Saturn's time cube. Satan's time cube. Okay? We're trapped in the matrix right now. Our souls were stolen from outside and forced into these physical bodies, is what some claim. Whether or not that's correct, that could just be another level of obfuscation designed to, trick you. But the one thing I'm absolutely certain of is there's one true God that was the creator of all things good and all things evil, and one of its creations decided it was God, and it is trying to steal our souls. It wants us to be damned alongside of it.
And a lot of the potential threats to me.
Okay, so what we're seeing here is this scene where the Keanu Reeves character climbs out of the battery vat chamber. You can't see, precisely what it is because of that loss of focus, but you can definitely see that something is abnormal. As you look into it, I drew a picture of what the shapes of those claws are. It looks like a bird talon or a reptile talon. I started searching on conspiracy type movies, UFO movies, weird movies on YouTube. I came across the reptilian shapeshifter subject. What I can confirm is that there are apparently non-humans, apparently some of them are extraterrestrial, and apparently they have some kind of evil grip on our world. Richard Bruce here, and if you haven't seen my channel before, this is gang stalking for reptilian shapeshifter movie uploads to YouTube. When I uploaded my study, within 15 minutes, helicopters kept zooming over my apartment like there was a drug bust in my building. And then it didn't take me long. I think it popped into my mind pretty quick. Oh my God, is this from what I uploaded to YouTube? Because the whole thing was so freaky at first. Like when you're seeing these non-human features, you're like, oh my God, what is this?
I watched a guy in Arizona, in Flagstaff, Arizona, that I was working with. His eyes, he made them move to the sides of his face, and he told me he was a Nephilim, a human-angel hybrid.
What could possibly be going on?
They're carnivorous. They are not friendly to mankind. At least the ones that are here.
Are they carnivorous? They eat humans?
Yes.
When I told my family about this, it's almost like I get like a non sequitur reply from a computer. It's like they just kind of look at me like I'm not even hearing this, and I'm really not interested in that. My father, the rocket scientist, the doctorates in mathematics, when I tell him anything about this, one of the main points of discrediting me is saying that you just have to be negative and dark about everything. You have to, because of your own dissatisfaction at being unemployed. I mean, that's a highly...
That's literally exactly how my parents act whenever I mention this stuff. They say it's all in my head, that I'm too negative, that I just need to ignore it. You know, my parents are all Masons. They're all Freemasons. My whole family are Masons, but me. I hate this. I just want to live a normal frickin' life.
Yeah, it's an understandable point of view. It's like somebody who's disgruntled with life in general might flock to an idea. Yeah, there's evil reptilians doing it all to us, and that's why I'm so miserable, or whatever, you know.
Nobody wants to be called crazy. It's one of the worst things you can imagine. I don't think I or any psychiatrist would recommend that people are convinced that what they believe is not true. The more useful target would be, what pain are they feeling in their life?
At least if I can do anything, if I can achieve anything by exposing this issue to the general public, it could be that it takes away these criminals' right to destroy people's lives with this, because it's terrible what's happening to people. I mean, what kind of a country do we live in where you can't say certain things or do certain things without our own government using these subversive, underhanded tactics to drive you crazy?
You're in the middle of this ridiculous, irrational impossibility that is real and is happening and is stranger than fiction or anything that you can imagine. And it's...
That's so... Did you see that?
It's terrible.
Like, literally, I started crying. I look up, and that guy's crying, too. It's like literally the same thing happening to him has been happening to me. It's so weird knowing that this is really happening. You know, I'm a pretty normal guy. I was just a general laborer, just a regular everyday guy, and then this stuff started.
Fuck. I don't want to start crying. It pisses you off. It frustrates you beyond anything that you can imagine. And it changes you.
I can't even have normal relationships anymore because I can't identify with people, because everyone I meet, I'm not sure if they're part of this hive mind collective of actors, like this satanic matrix of control that billions of people are part of now. Like,
we could see it from everything: the fluoride in the water, the chemtrails, the fake education system, the fake medical system. I mean, when are we going to wake up and stand up and fight?
exactly.
As the scripture says, how good is it for brethren to be together? Meaning, how good is it for people who truly trust each other and are friends to be together?
So that's it in a nutshell. You know, that was the first time I'd seen that video, but the stuff those people were talking about, it's literally exactly what's happening to me, except I've seen this stuff in person too. I've seen these shapeshifters. Like, the stuff's real. It's really happening. I don't know. Like, it's the book of Revelation. Repent.